Welcome, age of vintage society. Dashing, intelligent and utterly sexy, Jill St. John will forever be remembered for her iconic role as a Bond girl and how sexy her bottom was in a swimsuit. She would also be remembered for her connection to Natalie Wood's death. How Jill St. John seduced Robert Wagner from Natalie Wood. I hope you know, my viewers, how much I appreciate you. Thank you for your generous comments and for the Patreons. This channel would not have been successful without you. Big thanks to those who watched the video right to the end. Much of Lance stayed with me. We remained friends as long as he lived, Jill St. John said in an interview. She was talking about her second husband, Lance Reventlow, the heir to the Woolworth fortune, who died in a plane crash in 1972. Even though the two had married and divorced a couple of years prior, Jill, the sultry Bond girl, was shaken by his death. The two had a bad marriage that lasted 3 years, but they remained in touch. Death broke them apart finally. Loss is a terrible thing, a blemish on the soul that never truly washes away. However, loss can lead to love, passion, and a rediscovery of life. It can bring two people together and create another form of beauty. Loss and the accompanying grief brought luscious Jill and her fourth and final husband, Robert Wagner, together. The two had each married 3 times. Jill divorced 3 times, Wagner twice, with his third wife dying by drowning in what authorities call mysterious circumstances. When Natalie died, thoughtful Jill sent Wagner a note and flowers to emphasize his wife's death. Jill and Wagner had met when they signed with Fox as new acts, and they appeared in 2 films together, Banning and How I Spent My Summer Vacation. The two remained friends after the films and still contacted each other. Jill's note was riveting because it came from a place of understanding. She knew what it meant to lose a lover. The note was even more thoughtful because Jill shared in Wagner's grief. Natalie was someone she knew. Natalie and Jill met in their ballet class along with another of Wagner's future co-stars. According to one of Jill's closest friends, the 3 were friendly toward each other, but it wasn't as if they were best friends or anything. They were never best friends, but they respected each other, one of Jill's friends said. Jill was even jealous of Natalie's high-end ballet slippers at the time. As life would have it, 2 months after Wood's death, Natalie and Wagner met at a function and bonded in their mutual grief. And like a page torn from romantic literature, the two began to find comfort in each other. Before they knew it, love blossomed and they began to date. This happened within a year of Wood's death. The new couple didn't rush their romance and took their sweet time. After 8 years of dating, the two finally tied the knot. Their dating was longer than all the times Jill spent married. Jill officially became a member of the Wagner household, becoming a mother figure for his 3 kids, Katie and Courtney Wagner and Natasha Gregson, Natalie Wood's child from another marriage. They all became happy families, or as happy as they could be. Natalie Wood's death hovered around the family, never really going away. Courtney was most affected by her mother's death. She was 7 when it happened, and it impacted her mental health. At 14, she slashed her wrists. Throughout her years, she continued to have an on and off battle with her addiction. At some point, she was arrested for possession of drugs along with her boyfriend, who was arrested for negligence for firearms. She only didn't go to prison because the police search that led to the discovery of the drugs in her house was deemed illegal. That was a close shave for her, but it wasn't enough to shake her into wanting to take more responsibility. It wasn't that she was a vagrant, she had a job, but a strong dependence on the pills. Courtney battled her demons and always lost. Eventually she gave up on sobriety and abandoned all treatments, much to Robert's frustration. Despite Robert pleading with her, she has refused to check herself into rehab. Robert became lost on what he could do to help the only child he had with Natalie. Perhaps the girl resented her father for moving on so quickly from her mother's death. Not only Courtney suffered the effect of Natalie's mysterious drowning, the couple also battled with it too, despite their best efforts to get away. The couple bought a property close to nature in Aspen, Colorado. After splitting their time between their California home and Aspen, they decided to get away permanently to there. Jill and her husband sold their California property for a whopping $15 million. Their estate held a beauty not many people have witnessed. The couple found peace watching the sun bathing the Elk Mountains with its soft early morning glow. They enjoyed seeing deer, elks and other animals in and out of the property. I just can't imagine living anywhere else. To be in nature like this, it's such a blessing. Wagner was in love with the property to the extent he asked to be buried there when he died. Still, the blessing of nature wasn't enough to drown out the chaos they tried to leave behind. Jill and her man couldn't have the peace they so desperately wanted. Police reopened Natalie's case, and Wagner was declared a person of interest. The police were investigating that Wagner may have been involved in the death of his former wife. Honestly, the suspicions of the police weren't misplaced. After all, Wagner and Christopher Walker were on the yacht trip together with Natalie when she died. It looked suspicious, and the circumstances were enough to raise eyebrows. Apart from being part of the last persons to see Natalie, a startling revelation was made. The yacht driver confessed. He claimed he lied during the first investigation. He held something back. There was an incident that happened before the drowning that could have helped resolve the mystery. Robert and Natalie argued right before her mysterious drowning. The police began to say that undetermined factors, rather than drowning, led to Natalie's death. They suspected Robert as the cause of the many bruises that were on his dead wife's body. Fortunately, the family presented a united front. Natalie's daughter was certain that her stepfather was innocent, but her thoughts were not enough to save Wagner from another series of brutal questioning. Nothing came out of the investigation, but the police wouldn't give further details about the case. The media took advantage of this silence from the police to latch on to Robert. Jill and Wagner have made it a point not to talk about Natalie's death, despite it being why they met each other. To them, all that mattered was that they found each other. The family, despite their hurdles, managed to remain together. Jill with her husband has grown old together after sharing a worthwhile life. The two worked in films together as a couple and maintained their cooperation right into their old age. Loss brought them together and tested them. Having tasted the pain of loss, the two were determined not to lose each other, although with Robert's dementia he would have forgotten much of what he and Jill shared. St. John was born Jill Arlen Oppenheimer on August 19, 1940, to restaurateurs. She would have followed her parents or chosen a career path entirely if her mom hadn't noticed her entertaining capabilities. Her talent was so apparent that when she was 5, she was hired to work at a radio station. Her brilliance was undeniable. Getting hired by the local radio began her journey as an entertainer. Choosing the name St. John, Jill began to perform alongside esteemed stage performers, and her parents bought into her dreams completely. They enrolled her in the Pan AF Ballet Centre and the Hollywood Professional School. She made friends with people who would eventually become a star like she was. While in school, she got roles, making her TV debut at 9. The actress who would later become a Hollywood icon started as a cute child star, all wide eyes and smiles. With school and ballet, she appeared in and out of TV series. With an IQ of 162, she could juggle all three and even graduate from school and get into UCLA in her early teens, where she had her major in dramatic arts and her minor in psychology. But with her experience as an actress, the school wasn't her priority. Plus, there was that marriage to Neil Durban, a millionaire, an heir to a large fortune. The marriage would be the first of her 4 marriages, and it began the theme of her first 3 marriages, the theme of it not lasting long. The marriage only lasted a year before the couple separated, but she didn't have time to dwell on why her marriage failed. She got a contract from Universal, and after making appearances in different series, she switched to 20th Century Fox. From there, things began to look up for the actress, but it wasn't like she was a household name. Her skill was more than decent, but Hollywood had too many stars competing, and the actress had to wait for her time. So she waited and contended with the forgettable roles she was getting. Still, it was better than nothing at all. There is a long history of child stars who have been unable to replicate their success as child actors to adulthood. Once they reach adulthood, Hollywood usually becomes done with them. While her career was not as exciting as she wanted it, her life certainly was. She had hopped into another marriage with the same enthusiasm as her first one. Like her first marriage, her second husband, Lance Reventlow, was also a rich and handsome daredevil who attained fame as a sports car racer and an heir to Barbara Hutton. Like her first marriage, this marriage didn't last more than 3 years. The superb actress moved on from the marriage, and it looked like leaving was the jolt her career needed. It took off this time around. The roles were better, and her prowess as an actress exploded. This prowess earned her a Golden Globe nomination in the film Come Blow Your Horn, where she starred with Frank Sinatra. That film cemented her as one of the most skilled actresses in Hollywood. Yes, Frank Sinatra. The quality of her leading men also increased as she began to get better roles. Frank wasn't the only leading man she acted alongside. There was Sean Connery, the manly James Bond actor. Jill played the Bond girl in the film Diamonds Are Forever, where she and Natalie Wood's younger sister met as co-stars on the film. Jill and Sean, too, had a great chemistry on screen. One can't easily forget the scene where 007 slipped a cassette into her bum. The palpable sensual tension in that scene. There were reports that the two stars dated briefly, despite Sean still technically married to his wife. Jill can be a bit drastic regarding relationships, so it isn't surprising that she'll be with a married man. Other reports linked the sexy actress to Frank Sinatra and Jack Nicholson. The links aren't strange, considering they were all entertainers. However, there is one link that honestly looked like a long shot, but maybe it isn't. After all, Marilyn Monroe reportedly dated JFK and his younger brother. Get this, Jill St. John dated Henry Kissinger. Strange, isn't it? It looks a long shot, doesn't it? But reports are claiming that it happened. Who knows? Maybe it did. As we mentioned, she wouldn't be the first Hollywood star to date a powerful politician. Monroe managed too. However, she didn't marry these men. Instead, she married Jack Jones, a singer. Jill still very much believed in love, but it wasn't Jack that would be her lover till the end of their lives. There would be no Jack and Jill story. One of the highlights of her career was being a Bond girl. The film didn't break her out, but it did give her international recognition. However, it wasn't the only spy film she did. She had built up her skill acting in spy films with a couple of TV movies years before. Sadly, after being a Bond girl, things didn't look up for her as they should have. Her career nosedived. She went from getting jobs without much effort to struggling to get roles. Now that the talented actress had to content herself with getting roles that weren't prominent and as guest stars. Of course, it didn't help that the actress had moved away from Hollywood and become a resident of Colorado. It also didn't help that Jill was older and lost some of the looks that made her a vamp. Anyway, she got guest star roles in hit TV shows, so the money didn't stop. She even got some roles as a villain as she explored the more dramatic side of her art. She had fun with this new side of her career and was very much content being semi-retired. She had a great run, and now she could finally live in peace on her terms, away from the prying eyes of the media. Well, for the most part, she had peace. However, marrying a man whose wife died under controversial circumstances isn't a good idea when pursuing peace. But love is a villain. Sometimes we may not control who we choose to love. It was this man so enmeshed in the controversy of his wife's death that would be Jill's happily ever after. Jill returned to her roots with her career, not what it used to be. Being a daughter of restaurateurs meant cooking flowed in her veins like blood, and we mean this in every sense of the word. Jill taught herself how to cook and was too good at it. She rejuvenated her interest in cooking and mixed it with her talents as an actress. Now she began to appear in shows as a cooking expert. Apart from shows, the star actress began to work as an editor for the USA Weekend Sunday magazine. She wasn't done exploring the options her cooking provided for her. She capped it by writing a cookbook, the Jill St. John Cookbook. The books contained recipes that, at the time, were trendy. She had baked apple pancakes, flour salad, and Jewish pizza, although her pizza looked more like a pie than a pizza, but hey, it's her cookbook. She can name her recipes whatever she wants to name them. Wrong name or not, the book has attained legendary status. Now it's more of a collector's item than a cookbook. The sexy actress enjoyed the life of a semi-retired actress. She is much older now, enjoying relatively good health as she battled the diseases that come with old age. Now she can't walk around much and has to use a wheelchair. The star actress remains officially retired since 2014. She has made her mark in Hollywood and passed the torch to the younger generations. Women often can't even trust their best friends when it comes to men. How was Miriam Hopkins betrayed by Bette Davis? You'll be surprised.